Blueberry Muffins. One of my all-time favorite pastries to get, but they are crazy expensive. You can't find them anywhere. And if you get them, you gotta get the boxes or the pouches. Don't get me wrong, I grew up on those. Very nostalgic, very yummy, but homemade blueberry muffins are killer. And who'd have thunk it? So easy to freaking make. Now I found an awesome recipe. It's actually a very famous department stores recipe that you can't get anymore because those stores closed in mid-90s, I believe. Jordan Marsh department stores. I found a really cool article saying that these were top-notch, some of the best, and they come out moist and creamy and amazing. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna leave you with the video. Be sure to comment, like always. Let me know if you tried these recipes. I love freaking hearing about it. And as always, stay strong, stay blessed, very blessed, and stay freaking savage. Boom. Peace and love. God bless. Blueberries. The berries of the blue. Just tiny little, juicy, sweet, yummy, sour treats. Perfect for a beautiful, beautiful pastry. Perfect for blueberry muffins. Oof. Now I'm using fresh blueberries here. You actually don't have to do that. You can buy frozen if that's all you can find or that's cheaper for you. The difference being is your steps are gonna be slightly different. The consistency of the muffin will be slightly different, but it'll still be wonderfully delicious and is perfectly fine. So don't stress over it if you can't find them. Just make sure if you do get the fresh ones, wash them and make sure they're room temperature before you start working with them. Now, you see here, I grabbed a sifter. I'm gonna go ahead and sift 2 cups of flour into my bowl here. I'm gonna set that aside. This is my dry ingredients. So just all-purpose flour. Don't need anything special, don't need cake flour, just regular old all-purpose flour. If you don't have the sifter like I'm using here, you could use one of those hand strainers, or you can even just use a whisk like you see here and just whisk it up nice and thoroughly. I typically will do this because it is faster, but if you have a sifter, it just works a lot better. Next, we're gonna go ahead and cream our butter. Whole stick of butter. This is not health food. It's not meant to be health food. This is comfort food. This is meant to have a wonderful treat that's just gonna liven up your morning and make y'all happy inside. And you don't have to spend $37 on a freaking muffin at Starbucks or something. You know what I mean? I don't know. So I'm gonna go ahead and cream the butter, and all that means is I'm gonna add a lot of air in there. Just make sure it's room temperature, guys. I forgot to take mine out of the fridge, and it was a particularly cold day, so my butter was not as soft as I would like. So it does take a little bit longer. You see me working the butter down, but eventually it will work. You can use a hand mixer. You don't have to use a stand mixer if you don't have one. A hand mixer, technically you could use a whisk. It'll just take you forever and a day, but it can be done if that's what you have to do. The butter gets a lot more light. It becomes not just yellow, but more of an off-white color, a lot more fluffy. Just give it a little bit of a scrape every few seconds or every few minutes just to keep all the size down in there so you actually cream all of the butter. And then we're gonna go ahead and add our eggs. And as you do this, you're gonna see a batter form. It's gonna be really, really cool. It's almost a cake batter, basically. Just add your eggs one at a time. Large eggs will work fine. I use jumbo, work just fine for me as well. Just one at a time. Mix it, add the other one, and boom. What you can see is your batter starts to come together. It starts to look more and more like a cake batter, and it starts to smell really, really nice, actually. It's beautiful, look at that. Then you're gonna go ahead and add a little bit of baking powder, a little bit of vanilla extract. Make sure you use the real stuff. Don't get that imitation stuff. I know it's a little expensive, but that imitation stuff comes from, well, I'm not even gonna say where it comes from. It's gross. You can Google it. It's disgusting. Just get regular vanilla and just get a big bottle because for the cost, you get a lot more. It's awesome. Next, we're gonna go ahead and add our flour that we just sifted and milk. Now you're gonna go back and forth here. So just a little bit at a time. Don't overthink it, just a little bit of time. With the flour, you're gonna wanna make sure you mix and mix and mix. Make sure you thoroughly mix till you don't see any more flour. On the sides is fine, because we're gonna scrape that in later. But don't put your milk in until you see all that flour actually mix into the batter and you don't see that flour anymore. doing this, you're gonna add a lot more air in there, and the batter's gonna come together very nice, and you're gonna end up with a smooth batter. If you try to chunk all of your flour in there all at one time, you're gonna get a bunch of lumps, and then you're gonna end up with a lumpy batter, and you're gonna end up with lumpy muffins, which I can't imagine is a very pleasant experience. Probably tastes just fine, but it'd be a weird experience because you'll get a bunch of lumps in your mouth, and nobody wants lumps in their mouth, you know what I mean? But look at that, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful cake batter. And it smells amazing at this point. The aromas are fantastic. You smell that vanilla, you almost want to get a spoonful of that, you know what I mean? Who's with me? You like, who eats the batter still? Who eats the batter still? Just don't lie, don't lie. I still eat cookie dough, even though you're not supposed to. It's okay. Anyway, guys, next you want to get your blueberries together. Now, if you're using frozen blueberries, you're gonna skip this step entirely, but you're gonna get about a half cup of blueberries and go ahead and mash them up. Don't worry about how it's done. I use a potato masher, doesn't matter. You use a fork, just have some fun. Just squish them up, make sure they're nice and squished. Now, I tossed all my blueberries in together. It's actually a little bit easier if you toss the mashed blueberries in first and then the whole blueberries. But the idea here is you want to fold it in and you want to mix it in thoroughly, but you don't want to overmix, because if you overmix, you're going to turn your batter purple, and yeah, it'll taste good. Yeah, it'll still be kind of cool, but it's not really what you're looking for in a blueberry muffin. You're looking for a nice swirl in your muffin. Next, you can go ahead and take about a heaping quarter cup per cake cup. Now that seems like a lot. I think most people would know that you typically don't fill them, but maybe a quarter to half. In this case, because you have so much blueberry in there, it's gonna be higher, and that's okay. Just go ahead and toss those in. Now you see here, I'm using parchment paper because I didn't have enough cups. If you don't have enough cups, use parchment paper, just cut them in about 4-inch to 5-inch squares. Use a cup, squish them down. Right before it goes in the oven, go ahead and toss a little bit of sugar on there. I just took a bit of a 1/4 teaspoon and I just kind of layered it. I'm using granulated sugar. You can use whatever you like. You can use the crystals, you can use the raw sugar. Just have some fun. You can even make a topping if you want. Go ahead and toss that in the oven for about 30 minutes and boom, comes out beautiful, beautiful rise, amazing, gorgeous muffins. Warm, You can go ahead and use the toothpick method like you see there. Toss your toothpick into one of those, typically the middle one. If it comes out clean, they're done. If they're not done, just stick them back in, that's okay. But you want them nice and golden brown. You don't want them burnt, but you don't want them white. Just nice and beautiful and golden brown deliciousness. Now what I did before I let them cool in the pan, I went ahead and just sort of broke them free in case there was any stickage. You leave them in there for a few minutes, then you take them out. Now I went ahead and pulled one before it got real cool, but look at that. Soft, fluffy, delicious. Almost has a creamy texture, this recipe. It's just so different than any other muffin recipe I've ever had before. Now personally, I've never made homemade muffins. I've always used the pouches, if I'm being honest, or I've bought them from the store. But this is easy. It only takes a few minutes and it's gorgeous. This is a beautiful recipe. I don't know why they haven't mimicked it somewhere. Or maybe they have and I just don't know, but these are absolutely gorgeous. And you can't find them anymore because the store that made these are gone. They don't exist anymore. They're closed down. But it's just amazing recipe, beautiful. Now, let these cool on a rack. You really don't want to cover these because they're such a moist cake that they'll just become a lot more moist as they sit. I put them in a cake container. It's not sealed, so that didn't happen. Just if you are gonna keep them out, keep them uncovered, or if you have one of those travel cake things, you can use that, or something that's not super sealed or vacuum packed, because it's just too much moisture in the cake. But look at that. Look at that B-roll. Oof. I'm just getting hungry right now looking at it. Oh, you know, I gotta make these again. These will last you a few days if you don't eat them all. But look at that. Blueberry friggin' muffins. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Oof.